Hi, everybody. Jeff Marr here with STEM School Highlands Ranch, and joining me is Christy Clay, who serves as a strategic planning consultant for the school. And we're going to be talking about the strategic plan and specifically the work that is being done over the summer months to make sure that the strategic plan that was created is being implemented in the right way, and all of that follow-through work is going to happen. We're going to explore how that's going to happen. Christy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate being here.
So just to give people a little bit of a background on your professional background, if you can just kind of fill us in on kind of what led you to this point of serving as a contractor, specifically with the focus of the strategic plan for the school.
Sure. Really, the focus, I have been a small business owner and have been working in kind of higher growth organizations for much of my career. And for about the last 10 years, the focus of my work has really been helping organizations, I say, work smarter versus harder. I feel like we're all working a little too hard these days. And so what are the ways that we can, what the ways and the tools that we can work smarter? And I do that in kind of a variety of ways, but primarily in this case, serving as the facilitator of strategic planning, and that will be on an annual basis. We just kind of did an update of the STEM school annual strategic plan, and then also there is quarterly planning sessions. So we're doing some work. I say we spend as much time on the doing as we do on the planning. In other words, as much focus on the implementation as there is on putting the plan together.
Okay. And so my understanding is that you were brought on in March and that you've been doing a lot of work over the summer with your consulting with the strategic plan. If you can kind of go into detail about some of the things that you've been focused on so far this summer.
Yeah, I've been working primarily with the administration team. And there's kind of a administration team that is kind of responsible for the strategic planning process. So as I mentioned, we went through, there's 5 primary goals. There's also the values of the organization, the purpose, all that. So we took a day and a half and really did a whole refinement of the annual plan. And so that's looking at what do we want to accomplish in the 21-22 school year as it relates to the 5 plans, the 5 goals. Also kind of the key strategies and the values. How are we going to embed the values into the culture of the STEM school? So we've looked at that, and then that would be kind of on a macro level. And then on a micro level, we've really, we put together what we call an action items list, and we get together every 2 weeks and look at that. And so that's just all the important work that needs to get done kind of around what I call changing and improving the school, right? There's the teachers and faculty that are teaching, and then there's an operations crew, but the strategic plan is really largely responsible for really saying, hey, how do we need to change and improve this organization, right? So we've got an action items list with everything that we're doing listed on that with due dates and owners. So we're really just kind of measuring that progress. We've just completed putting together a dashboard that I think will be an awesome tool over the next 1, 3, 5 years, and really kind of measuring, is this team moving the needle forward?
And certainly we have done a lot of education with the STEM community ever since the strategic plan was launched, explaining what it's all about and what those 5 goals mean and why they're put into place and why that focus is on those 5 subjects. So with your professional opinion and your background, and after having some time to really dig in deep to the strategic plan, is it of your opinion that the goals listed there can be attained and that they can be tracked and measured so that we can follow that this plan is moving forward in a successful way and an effective way?
Yes, I mean, I believe that the goals are attainable. We have had some conversations around do less better. In other words, if you try and accomplish too much in a year, sometimes the law of diminishing returns will apply there. So, right, this, as they go into the 21-22 school year, they're coming off 2 more difficult years. So we've really looked at what is most important right now, what is most foundational and the most important to just delivering on an awesome education, what you guys are so well known for. So there, I say yes, and that there has been a lot of thought to prioritization and how much capacity is there to do some of the important work. And yes, Simi Basu, I think, or Basu, I'm not sure exactly of the pronunciation of her last name, has just been really instrumental in helping us pull together a bunch of data that has been gathered over the last 3 to 4 years. And so we can use that as benchmark data and then just really measuring how we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, Simi Basu is certainly a valued member of our team and does a lot of work behind the scenes in addition to what she does in the classroom. I wanted to talk about an issue that certainly we have addressed that is a nationwide issue, and it's a teacher shortage, and that schools all over the country are having difficulty keeping good teachers and having those teachers, not explore other options because of the stress level and other factors that have been introduced into the classroom as of recently that they really weren't accustomed to and maybe feel like they didn't sign up for. And so that's why one of the strategic plan goals is the teacher care model. And we highlight that a lot just because we recognize that that's one of the primary focuses that we need to prioritize, is making sure that not only do we have great talent that comes through the doors at STEM School Highlands Ranch, but also that we do everything possible to make sure that we keep those individuals and that they're happy where they're at. So based on that and the teacher care model as a specific goal, do you like what's outlined there and how it's presented as part of the big plan?
Well, prior to looking at the annual plan, we had several working sessions around this teacher care model. Interestingly enough, and it has not yet been approved by the board of directors, but we elected to not just call the teacher care model, but the staff care model. And that isn't to take one thing away from how important those teachers and faculty are, but yet every person who works at STEM is important and should feel valued. So that was a refinement that the team came up with that I think really felt good to everyone. And we talked a lot about how do we create an intentional culture, right? A culture by design and not by default. And the culture has been challenged in these last couple of years. So we kind of said, where are we today? And then how can staff care, which would include the teachers, each and every one of them, how can that be more intentional, and how can it, and also consistent over time and that type of stuff. So there was a lot of dialogue about that. And one comment that I think is so important to make is that the people who were at the table for those meetings and those dialogues, they are all in. They are all in to make this, to improve the retention and to make the staff feel welcome and appreciated and all that. So that was a really neat part for me.
Now, for any business, when you talk about culture, it is very important to have one that is welcoming, one that celebrates diversity, one that makes an individual feel safe, and a place where they feel like they can have the freedom to do their job without any major negativity or oppression or any of those things that make a toxic culture. So I'm curious, based on the plan here and what you've dived into so far, how can culture be measured and tracked so that we ensure that we're giving the best possible experience and that people are receiving that experience?
Yeah, so it's one thing to talk about culture, and it's the other thing to how, who, when, what. And so that's really where I come in, is to really help them add that specificity to how are we creating a culture by design. And I really want to give Jim Collins the credit here, right? He has the right people, right seats, and just really kind of looking at how he does this. It can be measured through, do we embody and embed the values that we have said are important and critical to us? And so that is one of the things that this fall we'll do a baseline on values. There hasn't been measurement specifically to values prior, but there is a way to do this. So that is a big body of work that we're working on, is to get a baseline of where the culture is today, and then we'll be touching base with the staff quarterly and really seeing, are we improving the culture?
Yeah.
Or at least landing on the culture that we say that we want, because saying it and doing it can be two different things.
And I like that you've been present on site at the school quite a bit over the summer, and that you've had those open discussions and conversations with staff that you just talked about, saying that the staff is wonderful and all in. Certainly, I have seen that with a lot of the new hires that we brought in here, and they bring in a lot of great energy, and they're really dedicated to the mission, whether they are teacher or support staff or administrator. It really goes down the line, and it's great to see that. Are you glad to see that through those communications and conversations that you do have people who are ready to move forward in a positive way, and tie all that together with the strategic plan? And in your opinion, is just more communication about that, the solution to making sure that this plan is successful?
Yeah, and right. I mean, I don't think there, again, with COVID, with some of the challenges, right? There's some work to be done there, but it cannot be done without a decent commitment. And I would say this team, on a scale from 1 to 10, their commitment level is a 10. And so that is so critical to it. And some of the things we can have, I say they can have some small wins initially. And I mean, just what they have planned for the opening of the school, when the first week, which is kind of the staff week or whatever the right vernacular is. But so there'll be some small wins. I think people will feel it in some ways, hopefully quickly. And then there's some work that takes some time to do, but knowing that we're trending in the right direction, and all those small wins do make a difference and give people just confidence and better engagement. So yes, I am confident.
And are you able to look at other examples of other businesses or institutions or schools that perhaps you've been involved with in the past that have had success with similar plans? Are you kind of looking to those examples as something that can be implemented here?
Yeah, the team has often heard me say that the challenges that organizations have, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, academia, private industry, that the challenges are not that different. Their stories and their nuances are different. So yes, there is a lot of previous client experiences that I've had, and stories and tools that I've shared with this leadership team that I think do help, and just do also help them see, okay, this is how we kind of move through this and get beyond it. And sometimes just the human condition, we can feel like we're so far away from where we want to be. And generally the truth is we're somewhere between 10 and 30%, right? I mean, as you know, Jeff, as staff there, right, there's so much strength to draw on. And so, right, let's remember all that and then do these refinements. And so, yeah.
As I pointed out, you are contracted to do these services. Let's talk a little bit about how long you'll be involved in the process and what you'll be doing moving forward.
I think the most important work that I will do with the team over the next year is really, again, just, are we doing what we said we were going to do? And sometimes there are, during the year, you need to adapt due to certain things, but largely, are we doing what we said we were going to do? And if we're not, why? Let's look at that. Sometimes there's just some obvious productive reasons as to why, and sometimes it's like, hey, we should look at this. So really support the team in the implementation and measurement of that plan. Many of the tools that I've introduced and kind of the team is customizing it in a way that makes it feel part of their culture. once they really learn those, they can manage that all on their own. Should they do that, I like to kind of help people, right? Just help them do it on themselves, so they're not reliant on someone else to be there. So I think really just that, again, that refinement and measurement, and also just as an organization, with the organization being, I think it's about 9 years old, right? There's the different stages, right? And so they're kind of in that, kind of, pardon the pun, of school, right? But they're kind of going from middle school into high school, right? That adolescence into maturity. And there's a lot of process work and systems work that gets done through that. So really just supporting them in that and the follow through of that work.
Well, Christy, Clay, thank you so much for talking to us. And we certainly value your presence at the school as you really get in deep with the strategic plan and really handle a lot of those checks and balances moving forward, and holding the school accountable and the community, making sure that we are following through with as promised. And, I think it's a really important thing. So thank you for shedding some light on some of the work that you've been doing as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your summer.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. It's been a treat to work with the STEM team.
Yeah.